that all was coming down the pike, and then of course we had the pandemic that hit. And I will have to say, obviously the most challenging years of my career. When I came to Queen Anne's County that year, we had a great summer. We had summer school. We had 1,200 kids in session in summer school. We were not masked. Everything was good. And then as soon as we got back to school, everything just took off again. And so we came into it with the mindset that it's behind us and we're moving forward, and then it smacked us in the face. And that was probably literally the toughest year because there was so much controversy, politically speaking. So the politics just seeped right into education. And our why is our students. We're here. That's why we're here, is to serve students. And these constant political aspects of things, from masking to not masking, vaccinating to not vaccinating, quarantining to not quarantining, I could go on and on. It was very challenging. We've been able to get past that, but what people didn't understand with the blueprint in the background is that a lot of that was stalled, and it didn't take into consideration that some of our families, in order to meet the needs of their students during COVID, decided to either homeschool or send them to private school or do some other form of education. So our enrollment was impacted negatively by that. Specifically also here in Queen Anne's County, we kind of had a dip in our enrollment, and we can see that back at the birth rates, and now it's just kind of hitting us. So you couple, the pandemic and decisions that parents were making for the betterment of their children, couple that with a low birth rate X amount of years ago, and you put those two together, our enrollment is significantly down. When I say significantly, over 300 at the time. We're getting better, but those are connected to dollars, and dollars serve students. So, the blueprint didn't take into account a declining enrollment, and where we've had other formulas, where we've had support for declining enrollment, that just wasn't included in there. And actually, I can't say enough that our commissioners are 100% supportive of education here in Queen Anne's County. They gave above maintenance of effort that first year. Last year, they gave us again above maintenance of effort, a significant amount above maintenance of effort for us to be able to do the things that we need to do to continue to meet student needs. The good things about the blueprint are that it really is elevating the actual profession. Back in the day, when I was becoming a teacher, I was literally a dime a dozen. I was trained as an elementary teacher, and there could be 30 elementary teachers going for one position. There was a lot of people that didn't get jobs because we were flooded with them. Honestly, now we don't have the candidates that we had before, and especially as it relates to some of our content areas. English, believe it or not. A lot of our math and sciences, Spanish, special education. So where we used to just have like a need maybe just in special education, now we have a need in so many other content areas. There are just not enough people going into education. We've never in Maryland ever produced enough teachers for the need in Maryland. So we used to go to Pennsylvania and Jersey, and now Pennsylvania doesn't have, enough teachers. So we can't go out of state necessarily to pull people into Maryland. And so that's the teacher shortage is a huge challenge. But the positive things is it's elevating that profession, which means that it's going to be more appetizing for people to want to come and be a teacher. That's the best part about it. It also recognizes that teachers need strong professional development in the classroom to be able to be the best teacher. So it definitely reduces their overall caseload of students, but then elevates them to a point where they get additional support systems so that the caseload they do have, they can do better with that caseload. As I said, some of the calculations they just didn't take into consideration some of the things that are going on. Like I said, like declining enrollment. It also only focuses on your certificated staff members. So you have administrators who are also certificated, but not as part of the blueprint. You also have support folks that are not part of the blueprint. So while you're elevating one part of your overall staff, where's the money coming to elevate the other part of your staff so that there doesn't become this huge discrepancy and gap? And I'll give you an example. It it will be challenging for us. Teachers won't want to move into administrative positions because they would make as much money staying in their position as a teacher than our administrators, because that gap will get, reduced. And so those are some things that as superintendents we have to consider. How do we elevate teachers through the blueprint, but also elevate the rest of our staff members and support them, and show them their value and worth, because teachers are amazing at that classroom level, and goodness, they impact student lives every single day, but so too do our bus drivers and our cafeteria workers and our secretaries and our other support folks. Everybody has such an important role in a school district to really make our students successful, and so we can't leave anybody behind. Queen Anne's County certainly has a better wealth base than a Dorchester County or a Caroline County or a Somerset County, but at the same time, we have to be responsible. So at the table are not just the educators, but you have emergency services, you have the county libraries, you have the county sheriff's department, you have parks and recreation, and if you really think about it, each one of those impacts the schools, every single one of them. So when the sheriff's department gets additional funding for school resource officers, directly impacts the school. When emergency services gets additional funding, and they do training for us, it definitely impacts us. So we can't be too greedy, because we want to make sure that we're playing nicely at the table, that everybody has a seat at the table, and that we're fair and equitable from that approach. The blueprint forces the hand of the commissioners to give more money to education, which then subsequently could potentially take monies away from other things that support us. If you take money away from Parks and Rec, then that's hurting us. And there's quite a number of things that I think that they didn't take into consideration. One of those major factors are that we have bargaining units within each district. Every district has various numbers. We have 4. Other districts only have 2. Some districts have 8, the larger districts. And each of those bargaining units, you have to do what's called negotiations. And you have to mutually agree, and there's certain things you have to negotiate. One of those things is salary, obviously. Sometimes I think the blueprint assumes that we can just arbitrarily make decisions when they don't clearly understand that some of those things are actually by law have to be negotiated. While we want to do it this way or that way, we can't just arbitrarily do that. We have to play by the rules, and negotiations are in the law, and we have to play by the law. So those are some things that weren't considered that are challenges for us as we move forward. The career ladder is going to be something that is very challenging for us to negotiate. I think for me, what's most exciting is there's a huge component in the blueprint that deals with building career technology education for our students and providing more opportunities than they've had before. And the blueprint does that in several different ways. One, it really builds on the opportunity of apprenticeships. In my career, we've really focused more on internships, but building a good foundation for apprenticeships is a little different. And it is exciting. We live in a rural area. And so, the opportunity to have our students engage in apprenticeships, whether that be in food service at some of our local restaurants, whether that be in construction, at auto mechanics. And so being able to, cosmetology is a big one, but being able to do those apprenticeships is just exploding. And that is exciting for me, because I feel like we're meeting the needs of a group of students that we maybe didn't do as well with meeting those needs prior to. And the other thing is the support for kind of career coaching and management. So each one of our high schools is getting a career coach. And so our guidance counselors, who typically would guide students, their plates are, like everybody's, are full. And so this person can take that little bit off of their plate and just really focus. So we have these career centers, much like when, sometimes if you go to a college and you see a career center in a college. So it's really the same concept where, we can sit down with students and really talk to them about what are their career options, and then help them to build their program of study over the next 4 years to be able to get them to where they want to be. And as I said, depending, not just college, but what other types of, career technology educational content do they want to build on?
Yeah, that's